Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra Unit 2.7 Notes. Today we're going to be talking about graphing linear equations in slope-intercept form. Our learning target today is to be able to graph lines in slope-intercept form without a table of values. So, we know that diagonal lines can be graphed using any of the following methods. One, we've talked about table of values, okay? So, table of values that can be used when the equation has the y by itself or if it is in function notation. So looking at the first example, or y equals negative 1/3 x plus 6, they told us the x. So when they tell us the x, we have to plug in and simplify. Okay, so I have y equals negative 1/3 x plus 6 and plug in the 6. So I need to know what negative 1/3 times 6 is, right? Oh, negative 6, I'm sorry. Let's change that. So negative 1/3 times negative 6 is, so I get 2. And then I have to take 2 plus 6. And 2 plus 6 is 8. So that's my first ordered pair. And now I have to do the same thing with 3. So I have negative 1/3 times 3 plus 6. So I go to the calculator. Once again, negative 1/3 times 3. And now we get negative 1. So I have negative 1 plus 6, and negative 1 plus 6 is 5. So that's when we plug in the x and we simplify. On the other side, they're telling us the f of x, which we've also said is the y. And when we do that, we need to solve. And that is not how you spell solve at all. It is way too early for me. Solve. There we go. Okay. So they're saying that 7 equals negative 1/3 x plus 6. So I'm going to solve. I'm going to solve for y. I'm going to subtract the 6 to both sides. 7 minus 6 is 1 equals negative 1/3 x. And then to get the x by itself, I need to multiply by the reciprocal, which is negative 3. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Okay, so I get that x is negative 3, y is 7. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing again, but now we're going to plug in 6. So 6 equals negative 1/3 x plus 6. We're going to subtract 6 to both sides. 6 minus 6 is 0. To get the x by itself, we would multiply by the reciprocal again. But no matter what it is, it's going to be 0 because I'm multiplying 0. So there we go. Those were the two things that we've talked how to solve with table of values. Okay, so after we talked about table of values, then we discussed x and y intercepts. And that can be used when the equation has the y by itself or both x and y on the same side of the equation. Okay, so when I draw my line down the middle, I see that the x and y are on the same side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve twice. Once I'm going to let x equal 0, and the other time I'm going to let y equal 0. Okay, and it doesn't matter which one you do first. So we'll let x equal 0 first. So 2/3 times 0 minus y equals negative 4. When I plug in 0, 2/3 times 0 is 0, and I'm left with negative y equals negative 4. Now the y is not by itself because there's a negative 1 in front of it. So to solve, I need to divide by negative 1. Negative 4 divided by negative 1 is a positive 4. So I get the 0.04. Now, our next one, I'm going to let y equal 0. So I have 2/3 x minus y equals -4. So I plug in 0, that cancels out, and I've got 2/3 x equals -4. And to get the x by itself, I need to multiply by the reciprocal. So I need to do -4 times 3/2. And we get -6. So -6. Okay, so now what we're going to do is today we're learning slope-intercept form. It can be used when the equation has the y by itself or if it is in function notation. So I have f of x equals mx plus b or y equals mx plus b. The m and the b mean the same thing no matter which form it's in. Okay, so m is our slope. Okay, that's our slope. It's the m. You'll hear us say that it is our movement. It tells us what to do. Where b, the y-intercept, it's a point. It's 0, 6. It's where we begin. Okay, so we use the slope. The way we do it is first we plot the y-intercept. We use the slope of the line to plot the rest of the points, and then we have to make sure your line is straight, meaning you're using a ruler, a straight edge to do this. So at the first couple problems, all we have to do is identify what the slope and the y-intercept are for the given line. So we said that the slope is connected to the x. Remember, it's y equals mx plus b. So whatever's connected to the x is our slope, and then the other number is our y-intercept. So our slope in our first example is 3. Okay, now I always want that as a fraction. So I'm going to put it 3/1. My movement, since this is positive, would tell me to go up 3 to the right 1. Now the b is where we begin, okay, and that's a point, so that's 0, -8. It would tell me that I would start at 0, -8 on the y-axis, okay? So number 2, there's my slope. My slope is -1/2. It's already in a fraction for me. -1/2 tells me that I would go down 1 and to the right 2. And then my y-intercept, where we begin our graph, would be 0, 3. All right, number 3. There's my slope. It's not a fraction, so I'm just going to put it over 1. It's positive, so that tells me that I would go up 5 to the right 1. And my y-intercept, oh my, there's nothing there. Well, technically there is. We would say that that is +0. Okay, so that means that I begin at the origin at 0, 0. Okay, now 4, you have to be careful because just because it's a fraction doesn't mean it's our slope. Okay, remember our slope is connected to the x. So it's -4, so I'm going to say that's -4/1, which means I would go down 4 because it's negative and to the right 1. Y-intercept can be a fraction, okay? So in this case, our y-intercept is 0, 8/3. Okay, now let's get to the fun part. graphing. So what we need is we need our slope and our y-intercept. Okay, so slope, y-intercept. They ask us for this y-intercept first, so that's going to be 0, -6. This is where we begin. Okay, so I'm going to go straight to 0, -6, and that's where I'm going to begin my graph. Now my slope is 3/4. Okay, that tells me since it's positive, I'm going to go up 3 to the right 4. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's my point. Go up 3, 1, 2, 3, over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's as far as I can go. But I want to make sure I do as many points as I can. So now I'm going to do the exact opposite, down 3 and to the left 4. Okay? And now you can see my line. So I'm going to find my ruler in my desk real quick, as you can hear me moving things around. Found it. I'm lining everything up, and I'm using my ruler to draw my line. Okay? And then if we go back and count it like we've talked about, if you look at our direction, I'm going up 3 to the right 4, and that's the point 0, -6. Okay, number 6. My slope on a y-intercept. So my y-intercept is 0, 7, and my slope is -1/2. My slope, my movement is telling me to go down 1 to the right 2. And remember that 0, 7 is where we begin. Okay? So at 0, 7, I'm all the way up here. And now I go down 1 over 2. Down 1 over 2. And I'm just completing that pattern in both directions, okay? The opposite would be up and to the left. And there we go. Now we're going to take our straight edge once again, line everything up. A line has to be straight, and it has to have an arrow saying that it goes on forever and ever and ever and ever. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and flip it over. All we're going to be doing is going through different situations, different types of graphs, okay? So there's my slope. There's my y-intercept. My y-intercept is 0, 3. And then my slope is -8/1. Okay, so that slope is saying to go down 8 to the right 1, and 0, 3 is where we begin. So I go to 0, 3, I go to my point, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 over 1. And if I keep going, that's the only point I can make. Now I want to try to do as many as I can, so I'm going to check if I can go up and to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh no, I'm off the graph. But that's where I would be. Okay, so I'm going to use those to draw my line. Make sure it's nice and straight. We will take points off if your line is not straight and if your line does not have arrows. All right, so there's my slope, but I don't see any number in front of it. I see my y-intercept. I know what that is. Yeah, my y-intercept is 0, -7. So I know where to begin. But what's my slope? Well, remember, there's 1. Okay, there is a 1 in front of it. So it's 1 over 1, which means I'm going to go up 1 to the right 1. So starting at -7, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Okay, and I'm going to go in both directions. And then draw my line. All right. Number 9, you guys are going to try on your own. We'll go through everything so you've got it. Our slope is 4/5, and where we begin is what? Yeah, remember, that's the +0. Now, you don't need to write +0. That's okay. We know that it's 0, 0 is where you begin. And then your slope is 4 over 5, which means you go up 4 to the right 5. Okay, go ahead and pause the video, and good luck. Okay, and there you go. And remember, at any time, you should just be able to come, okay, that's the point 0, 0. I got that right. I'm going to do these 2 points. I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. I went up 4 and over 5. Okay, so you should be able to check to make sure you got that right at any point. Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay, my slope, my y-intercept. My y-intercept where we begin is 0, -7. And my slope is -6, and that's -6 over 1. Which means I go down 6 to the right 1. Okay, so -7 is where we begin. I'm going down 6, 1, 2, 3. Oh my lordy, what do? I can't go down 6. Well, that's why we need to remember how to manipulate that slope, okay? I know it's negative, so I've got to go down and to the right, but another way to be negative is to go up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up and to the left. So if I go up and to the left, my line is still negative. From left to right, I am falling, okay? If I went up into, sorry, I'm going to graph this first so we don't forget. But if I were to go the opposite direction and say, well, I can't go down into the right, so I'm going to go up into the right, and then my graph looks like this. But then if that's what your graph looks like, from left to right, you're going up. And that's not what it's telling you, okay? We have to make sure that we're following the slope, the movement, okay? All right, number 11. My y-intercept, where we begin, is 0, 8, and my slope, 5 over 1, which means I need to go up and to the right. So here I go. I'm at +8, and I go up. Oh, man, it's the same situation. So if I can't go up and to the right, I need to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to the left. That's right, down and to the left, because a negative and a negative make that into a positive. Okay, so it's that same type of situation where we're doing the exact opposite of what it says. Okay, so, and if you want to check, let's go through. There's my y-intercept. Okay, that's the point 0, 8. And from this point to this point, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I went up 5 over 1, which is exactly what my slope told me to do. Okay? All right. Ugh. Number 12. Why is there only one variable? Oh, that must mean it's a special case. Now, if you haven't memorized yet what the slope of this type of line is, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to have to use a table because I haven't memorized it yet. Well, actually, I've memorized it, but have you? So they told me y, and y is 4. So 4, 4, 4. It doesn't matter what you plug in for x. Okay, I always pick a negative, 0, and a positive. All right, let's see what we get. So I go to negative 5, 4, 0, 4. Ooh, that's my y-intercept. And 5, 4. So I know my y-intercept real quick, so I'm going to write it in now. What type of line do we have here? What do you mean you don't know yet? You should know what this is. This is a horizontal line. Okay? And a horizontal line always, always, always has a slope of 0. Okay? Now, if you know right away just to go to 4 and graph your horizontal line, awesome. Okay? You just need to make sure to pay attention to where your y-intercept is. Okay? All right, guys. Well, that's it for Algebra Unit 2.7 notes. If you have any questions, you can come see Ms. Carranza or myself. We would love to help you out. Your homework is 2.7 practice, and it's a good review of a lot of the things that we've been doing. Okay? So this is Mr. Grice signing off for Algebra Unit 2.7 notes. Thanks for watching.